Alonso. He starts alongside him on the front row of the grid. As you can see, Hamilton did 2 laps that were good enough for pole yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see how much more fuel Alonso has than Hamilton. Some people think 2, maybe 3 laps more. Ferrari, well, this has been a Ferrari stronghold. They've won 6 out of 7 races here at Indianapolis. But at the moment, they seem to be struggling for the outright pace to match the McLarens here. Massa ahead of Raikkonen once again. Heidfeld could have been in front of both of them, but he made a little mistake in qualifying. That's a best of the year qualifying for Heikki Kovalainen there in 6th place. Sebastian Vettel, the 19-year-old, making his debut, standing in for Robert Kubica at BMW. He's 7th on the grid. Great effort from him. Jenson Button there down in 13th. Terrific lap from him. Honda have been struggling this weekend throughout practice, and that was a terrific qualifying lap for him. Anthony Davidson 16th. David Coulthard lines up 11th, and look at the times, how close they are. Just 2 seconds covers the entire field. Well, last year,
as the formation lap begins, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who has subscribed to this channel, and I'm keep on posting daily F1 classic race highlights for the time being. And remember to let me know down in the comment section below any races before 2008 that you want. I have tried doing races past 2008, but they clearly don't work with the copyright issues affecting the videos. So at the moment, I'm doing Prix, doing that, and any other your suggestions in the comment section below, along with the 2007 season, and plan on doing the 2007 Hungarian Grand Prix qualifying session too, as someone suggested in the comment section below. But here comes the 2007 US Grand Prix.
5 lights go out, the US Grand Prix will be go. Lewis Hamilton on the right, Alonso on the left, and it is go! Great fight by Alonso. He's got a terrific start. So has Hamilton. He's got a slight edge on him though. Alonso tucks in behind to protect the Ferrari from the Ferraris. Is Alonso going to try another one of his famous runs round the outside? No, he is not. And it looks like the BMW of Heidfeld's got up well. Kovalainen as well. And I think Vettel may have gone straight on and cut the chicane. We believe there's some incident at the back, but at the front, clear away is Lewis Hamilton with Alonso behind him, and a great start, I believe, from one of the BMWs. I think it's Nick Heidfeld who's the 4th, Kovalainen is 5th, Raikkonen 6th. Alonso looks like he wants to get on with this though.
Alonso hustling Hamilton all the way down the pit straight, all the way through turns 1 and 2, just trying to distract him in the mirrors. Lewis Hamilton would have none of it. He parked his McLaren in exactly all the right places, and now he's settled down a little bit. Alonso doing everything he could to distract Lewis, and who blames him? It was a BMW, I think, that was scampering across the grass. It'll be Vettel. He's down to P11, the teenager, and Ralf Schumacher out of the Grand Prix, who's crashed into Coulthard, we believe, who's coming in from P11 on the grid. Coulthard must have had a bad start or something, and Ralf Schumacher, is he out of Formula 1 at the end of this year? He's definitely out of this Grand Prix.
Hamilton leads across the line at the end of the first lap. Alonso is 2nd, Massa is 3rd, Heidfeld 4th, Kovalainen 5th, Raikkonen 6th. Waved yellow flags in turn 1 for that incident involving Ralf Schumacher and David Coulthard. And that's, there was an attempted to make an overtake there, but you're not allowed to pass under the yellow flags. That's one of the Toro Rossos there. And into the pit lane comes David Coulthard, who we believe was hit by Ralf Schumacher.
I think right side pod, and this is a Renault off the road of Fisichella, the man who was one stopping. I think that's turn 11. No, it's not, it's turn 4. It's turn 4, and Fisichella, well, that blows completely that long run strategy. And Alonso coming under pressure from Massa. Remember, the Ferraris have 6 miles an hour more plus the tow down the main pit straight. And if a Ferrari gets a sniff at the back of a McLaren, it'll be past. Too much damage, I think, on the right side pod of David Coulthard. I would imagine Ralf Schumacher has been in the side of that somehow. Fisichella then on his own at the moment. Barrichello's pitted as well. He just ran wide. Unforced error, served it straight into the net, across the gravel trap, and he got a little bit on the marbles. The front understeered wide, and as he braked for the corner, so puncture and damage to the front suspension for Barrichello. We've got 3 cars already out of the race.
Side by side down the main straight goes Tonio Liuzzi, battling with Alex Wurz over 11th place. And we saw Fisichella having a spin. He was in 8th spot at the time when he did that, in a good position. He'd made up 2 places off the start line, so that's a very expensive mistake for Giancarlo Fisichella. And I must also tell you that Jenson Button has had a difficult start to this Grand Prix, and he's dropped down into 16th place.
More quickly, they're still overall fast, and this is the feeling of a slipstream behind the Toro Rosso. But now Liuzzi's got the high ground, got the right part of the racetrack into turn 1, and he can just lift off wrong foot Wirtz and get a good drive out through turns 2 and 3. Wirtz struggling to keep the back of that Williams under control. Hamilton's on lap 6 though. He's 1.7 seconds ahead. This is the fight for 11th and 12th. Both these drivers fancying a chance of some World Championship points from there.
Lewis Hamilton pulling away at the start from pole position. Fernando Alonso alongside him as Fisichella runs up the inside of Button, wheel to wheel in turn 8 here. Button tries to come back in him at turn 9. Has he given him enough room? They're side by side through the tight, twisty corners at 40-50 miles an hour only at the apex there. Fisichella's keeping his foot in. Button's got the right-hander coming up, and well, 3 or 4 corners together of action here at Indianapolis, and it stays as it was with Button in front of Fisichella. But surely, Martin, it's only a matter of time.
It is, but I'm impressed with Button there. Brilliant driving by both of them, absolutely wheel to wheel. And Jenson shows he's still got spirit. Down in 16th, it is a matter of time. It is frustrating for him. He didn't go to Williams. The Williams are going well. The Honda's not. Everything about it is wrong for him at the moment. It's been a disaster, but he's still showing the determination and spirit, the bulldog spirit going on there. And now, just to add absolute insult to injury, Anthony Davidson's probably going to cruise past in Jenson's last year's car.
Interesting illustration of how the language of Formula One is English, even though both men speaking were Italian. They were speaking in English.
Yeah, he's about to get drilled by Wirtz. Wirtz got the inside line this time. Can he keep it in enough? He should just about. No, he couldn't. Liuzzi though, probably vibration. I bet he's locked a wheel somewhere and you get a big vibration. But that's a great scrap going on there between Liuzzi and Wirtz. Sato's under investigation. Wirtz still trying to find a way past, and that is Sato. It's going to be Sato, who we are pretty sure is going to get a penalty anyway, with Sutil. So, and he's gone round. Caught the grass and round he goes. Yeah,
the hero of Montreal, Takuma Sato, finished 6th, having overtaken both Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso during the Grand Prix, driving a Super Aguri against a McLaren and Ferrari. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a 0-0 situation, and he is out of this Grand Prix.
Now, I've driven that car and a lot of other F1s lately, and this anti-stall system they have means it's virtually impossible to creep out of the pit lane or out of the gravel trap by using a bit of clutch, because the anti-stall kicks in. It means that when you've got a hardened gravel trap like that, normally if you're really easy with the clutch, just edge the car out. And he's gone wide, very similar to Fisichella's accident, very, very similar, and ran wide with understeer and then turned in on the grass. And if he was able to just ease the clutch out, he might just drive out of there. You've got to give it quite a lot of revs, and it just immediately does that, digs a couple of holes like you're on the beach.
It's interesting, it's almost exactly the same place as it happened to Fisichella, isn't it? Fisichella dropping from 8th place down to now 4th. Flat out running here at Indianapolis. The car, as he comes through 13 there, is doing about 180 miles an hour, building up to a maximum speed of around 200 miles an hour.
And Lewis is coming up to the back of this big gaggle of cars. Now this could be a turning point in the race as Sutil, Albers rather, who's been lapped, sort of has a think about pulling back out of the slipstream of Alonso. The McLarens are not that fast in a straight line, but they're bordering on slow. But on an overall lap, clearly, they're the best things out there. Ted has news.
Yeah, I can't see whether anyone's cleared that flag, but such is the nervousness down here at McLaren about a possible safety car that ruined Alonso's race. I think they're actually they're thinking about bringing their drivers in a touch early just to make sure they get them out of the way before a safety car. The mechanics have just gone into the garage to get the tyres, so we're close to it. Okay. We believe that Lewis is coming in first.
Thank you for that, Ted.
Although Raikkonen's now 18 seconds adrift, and there is Heidfeld. He spun it on the way in. He spun it on the way into the turn 1, and the drivers have all wrecked the little escape road down there. I do not believe he'll get any kind of penalty for coming back on the track. And Lewis Hamilton from the lead pits, as does Felipe Massa for Ferrari. So they've pitted exactly at the same time. Ferrari were not running heavier. Where is Alonso though? How much further can he go? And can he pump in some hot laps?
Hamilton takes on a new set of soft tyres. Massa also takes on soft tyres for the second stint. Heidfeld is going for the harder tyre in the middle stint here, having just made that mistake into turn one. So Fernando Alonso leads this race. Heikki Kovalainen in the Renault is now second. Raikkonen is third. The race leader, Hamilton, and the man who was running third at the time, Massa, have both made their pit stops back out on the track.
And Heidfeld was released after the tyres had finished rather than the fuel, so it suggests there was a problem also on Heidfeld's.
Absolutely sure that Alonso has about 2 more laps worth of fuel in his pocket, and McLaren just nervous about this safety car. As we said, if anyone goes off into the wall, then that's his race destroyed. Stops going very well, soft tyres going on again, as Lewis was at that one. But interesting how long Massa's stop was, and that's a stop 7.6. Massa took on more fuel in that stop.
Okay, so the Ferrari of Felipe Massa is going to run a longer middle stint. This is a 2-stop race. We've seen the first round of pit stops slightly earlier than most people expected, but the second round will be in the late 40s, possibly early 50s in this race. A 2-stop race for most of the front runners.
Raikkonen pits then from second place. He didn't go a long way on those harder tyres. I think the McLarens came in earlier than we expected, James, because they were about to come across that big queue of cars, and it made sense. Good helmet cam shot there, like that.
Yeah, it's Ignazio Sansoni, the left rear mechanic. Left front, I beg your pardon, mechanic for Ferrari. We've got one on the Renault team as well, so hopefully we'll see a little bit of that when Renault make a pit stop. Vettel, on his debut, makes his first Formula 1 pit stop for BMW, pitting from what was 9th place. Raikkonen goes back out on track, little twitch there into turn 1. So, looking at Fisichella going around the outside of Wirtz. That was a pass for 12th place, which has just happened. Wheel-to-wheel contact there for the two of them. Pretty tasty stuff, but he makes it through.
It's between 6 and 7. You wouldn't really call it an overtaking place, but Fisichella in very much damage repair mode, and that's a good one.
Well, Hamilton's pace again, slow on the first part of this lap, but he's got past the traffic.
Let's see
Riding on board with Fisichella. He's going to do another one of these close contact things.
He's going to try between 6 and 7. It worked last time, and he doesn't even have to bash him out of the way this time, and he's through because they can't pass him down the pit straight.
Which includes Anthony Davidson, Scott Speed, Jenson Button, Alex Wirtz, and Antonio Liuzzi. So 5 cars that they've got to get through.
The lead is just 0.8 now. Hamilton lap 36, 0.8 ahead of Alonso, and we're on board with Button.
We're on board with Button in 14th place. Alex Wirtz in the Williams ahead of us, Antonio Liuzzi ahead of him, but of course Button will have as much of a look in his mirrors at the moment because he knows Hamilton and Alonso are coming through. And the problem for Hamilton and Alonso is these guys are racing each other pretty hard, often more focused on each other than they are on the faster cars coming through. But well, we've seen real grit and determination from Jenson Button here this afternoon. Let's hope he gets out of Hamilton and Alonso's way. We believe that Button is only going to stop once here this afternoon. This is virtually the halfway stage in the Grand Prix, that description, but clearly no one took offence because apart from Liuzzi, who's not let him through yet, and now look how close Alonso is.
Liuzzi has been pretty much a problem for drivers all day, and both the back of those Ferraris, McLaren stepping out, Hamilton even more so than Alonso, and Liuzzi pits then. He clears. Look at this.
This could be a
Surely
chance.
he's got a chance in the slipstream.
I think he might well have. He got better drive, better acceleration out of the slower corners. This could be the lead going for Hamilton. Alonso senses an opportunity. They are side by side down the pit straight in Indianapolis. The two teammates, you could put a cigarette paper between the wheels. Hamilton holds his nerve, but Alonso is on the warpath.
But I tell you, you know from GP2, you will not frighten Lewis Hamilton off the road. And Hamilton, with every opportunity to make a new boy's mistake down there and lock the wheels, didn't. Held his line, held his nerve, braked just in the right place. They're putting 1,500 pounds per square inch pressure into the braking system to pull 5 times the force of gravity to they get rid of 210 miles an hour down to 70. They're losing 140 miles an hour in 80 metres, and you have to press it absolutely by the right amount at the right time, and that's what Hamilton did. Look at that for a good slipstream effect, but Hamilton parked his car on the inside and then braked beautifully.
Well, That's what comes from being a racing driver from the age of 8. Both of these men were able to start karting at 8 years old. They got so much experience. Hamilton, 14 years of racing experience, and he's only 22. And a steely nerve. Now we saw a little mistake from Alonso, who goes wide again. What's that all about? The blue flag flying across the road. And Alonso just swerving across that.
That's a little signal. It's a little signal to the pit wall, I would imagine. I don't think Fernando's emotions are fully under control, in the car or out of the car at the moment. And that was a message.
Well, we're starting to see a little bit of brake dust coming off Lewis Hamilton's car. It's always not a hugely difficult braking circuit here, but there are a couple of big stops, so maybe that's a little bit of a factor. And Alonso knows he needs to start recouping some of the margin to Hamilton, with more brake dust coming off Hamilton's car.
Yeah, that's been pretty much since the beginning. And a replay of Rosberg's pit stop, the fuel nozzle stuck on. You often get a bit of leakage there, but no problem, and he's away. And what's going on? Yeah, it's the spiker behind the two leading McLarens has put himself wide. Who was that? I don't know from there.
I think it's Albers. Christian Albers running in 18th place. 2 laps down on the leaders. His teammate Suttil is 15th. Jenson Button check, he's 12th. Anthony Davidson's right behind him in 13th place for Super Aguri. We have 4 retirements from this race. Takuma Sato, who spun, David Coulthard, Rubens Barrichello and Ralf Schumacher, who were all involved in an incident at the first corner. So no mechanical retirements yet, and this is lap 42.
Well, they're a dozen seconds ahead of Massa, these two McLarens, in 3rd place. Raikkonen's just 17 seconds behind now, and taking the thick end of a second a lap out of them. McLaren can't call off the race. They've got to keep pushing as hard as they can. Their pace is not as amazing as we thought it was going to be, especially when they start squabbling with each other. And the only way McLaren should interfere, if it becomes obvious that Hamilton's actually slowing up Alonso and the Ferraris are catching.
He is on 1 stop. It's very close between you and him.
Rosberg is on 1 stop, they're telling Mark Webber, who's running 8th at the moment. Rosberg is 10th, and so we believe obviously Webber has to start again. He's 10 seconds up the road from Rosberg, so he needs to get on with it a bit. He wants to be able to pit and rejoin in front.
Alonso just lost 1.2 seconds on this lap, and this is exactly why. Of tyres, and I understand from somebody who really should know, who will remain nameless, that Alonso's side of the garage won't share strategy these days with Hamilton's side. Can't verify that, but I have heard it. And until the first pit stop is over, Raikkonen pits as well for Ferrari. So Hamilton should come out in the lead. He had about 2.5 seconds advantage, and that is going to be very tight down into turn 1. And there it is. He has got the lead, but Alonso will have the momentum. He's not close enough to use it.
Yeah. So Alonso remains in 2nd place. Problem with the power steering. You can see Heidfeld struggling. It's a shame because he's been very strong all weekend. His teammate Sebastian Vettel, 19-year-old, on his debut here, is standing in for Robert Kubica, who had that horrible accident in Canada. Vettel is running in 10th place. So this could, if he can't improve that, it could become BMW's only non-points finish of the season so far. But certainly Heidfeld looks destined for retirement, and I believe it might be a hydraulics problem, because you heard him also having a few problems with the gearbox, which is also driven by hydraulics.
Yes, sometimes the power steering is electric as well, but...
Box, Nick, try to bring it back slowly, no shift, slowly, no shift.
But I have to say it sounded more like transmission than power steering. But anyway, he's not going to bring it back. Those messages that are played out to us are quite significantly delayed. Even sometimes they look a bit strange.
For Williams, and now he's having trouble with Jarno Trulli. He's not got a great deal of time for Jarno Trulli. So I fancy there's going to be some fireworks before the end of this Grand Prix. Lining up a pass into turn 1. Here he goes, and he's going for it first time off the track, onto the grass, and that was a real. He won't be able to keep the place. He'll have to give it back because he cut the grass.
Yeah, he'll let him back through now. He's doing that, and he'll hook up behind him. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose another spot there to Vettel. Does Mark Webber. Vettel smelling a World Championship point and fancying a go at that, and he's run wide too.
Just covering off their pace. 14 seconds clear of these two Ferraris, and I mentioned earlier on that Damon Hill and that Nigel Mansell both had their first victory and followed it immediately after with their second. Is that Rosberg going slowly in the Williams? I think it might be some bluish smoke coming out of the back of that car. Not sure what his problem is, but that engine doesn't look terribly happy to me.
Yeah, he's got to the end of the pit lane, which is important, so he's off the racetrack. Otherwise, they may have had to put the safety car out to clear that car. On fire now, the oil fire, always, the engine oil is always so ready to catch fire from the hot exhaust pipes that are right beside the engine. Rosberg was running in 6th place, a great chance of some World Championship points, and just 4 laps to go. He's out of the Grand Prix, which of course puts Sebastian Vettel, the teenager, into a point-scoring position. King oil surge as well. So it's easy enough for the drivers, this racetrack, but I think quite a technical challenge.
Well, it's one of the shortest laps of the year, but this lap is going to feel long for Lewis Hamilton. 2.6 miles away from back-to-back Formula One victories. Fernando Alonso, the bridesmaid on this occasion, and that is a role he does not enjoy playing. Ferrari's challenge has not materialised here this afternoon. They're 13 seconds behind as we ride on board with Raikkonen locking up into turn 8 in his rather forlorn pursuit of Felipe Massa.
2 or 3 times he's dipped his right tyre onto the grass there. He's pushing hard. He wants that podium place.
Hamilton then down the short back straight into turn 8. The fans in the grandstand, he's certainly won over America in terms of fans. There's a lot of people getting behind him here. He's through the slowish final corners, and it'll just be turn 11 and 12, the banked oval corner of 13, and Lewis Hamilton will come across the line. He picks up his speed. I'm sure he'll wave to the crowd as he comes through. An absolutely stunning drive, a steely drive. Lewis Hamilton wins! The first British driver to win in America for 24 years, and like the Beatles many years ago, he's conquered the United States on his very first visit.
Some congratulations there from Fernando Alonso. His lead now 10 points. Hamilton's lead over Alonso 10 points, and that was a perfect drive. He really did have to defend that one. He didn't drive away like last weekend. He was defending that one all the way through.
He resisted all the challenges that his teammate Fernando Alonso could throw at him. Another superlative performance from a young man who now leads the Formula One Drivers' Championship by 10 points from his world champion teammate Fernando Alonso. Another incredible day for Lewis Hamilton. Let's get the swift reaction of Mark Blundell. Will there be any complaints do you anticipate from Fernando Alonso? There were hugs up there on the podium.
I don't think there's any reason to have any complaints whatsoever. He's been beaten fair and square.